Hello, today I'll be talking about movie review number 62, and this movie is called Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. This is a 2011 film directed by David Yates that stars Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter, Robert Grint as Ron Weasley, Emma Watson as Hermione Granger, and this is the final movie in the Harry Potter saga. So I saw this movie on August 17th, 2020 at the Showcase Cinema De Lux in Springdale, Ohio. I absolutely loved it. So this is part two of the seventh movie and seventh book, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. The producers and director decided to put the last book into two movies. Part 1 came out in 2010, Part 2 came out in 2011. So basically, right after this takes place right after part one, where it left off. So Harry Potter and his friends must find the rest of the Horcruxes so that they can make Voldemort mortal. And while they go back to Hogwarts, they realize that there is a battle that is about to come, and it's not just between Harry Potter and Voldemort. It's between Hogwarts and Voldemort's minions. It all ends here. So basically, this was a satisfying conclusion to the Harry Potter franchise. I am not going to go into the great detail of what happened, but if you have seen this movie before or have read the book, then you probably know what happened. But for those of you who don't, I'm not going to give away anything, but it was a blast. 10 out of 10. I like how this was the final movie in the Harry Potter series. Like, this definitely was a conclusion to the Harry Potter franchise. Questions are answered, and basically, this was definitely a joy to see it in. I haven't seen this in theaters until now, but I wanted to go see it since I saw the other Harry Potter films this year in theaters. I finally got to see all. Let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Eight out of eight Harry Potter movies. Now, even though there were seven books, there were eight Harry Potter movies because they split part one and part two. Well, they split the Deathly Hallows into part one and part two, so that makes it eight movies. But yeah, I really, really loved it. Um. Oh, even though this is the last film in the Harry Potter franchise, this wasn't the last movie in the Wizarding World franchise because in 2016 they decided to do Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them series. They did the first movie in 2016, then the second movie, which was called The Crimes of Grindelwald, came out in 2018. I'm hearing they're making a third one next year, and then the fourth and fifth one to follow. So those will be interesting to see. But yeah, I really like how they ended the Harry Potter franchise. It basically led up all the events of the Harry Potter films had led up to this final film. And I really like how they split part one and part two. I mean, if they could have just done it in one movie as far as 4.5 hours basically, but because movies aren't that long, they decided it was best to, in order to serve the book justice and to the fans, they broke it up into two parts. That was a good move because there were a lot of plot details. And especially since this was the last book in the Harry Potter franchise. And actually, I think this sparked a new as far as this was the beginning of how several books became Part 1 and Part 2 of the final book, right? With the Twilight series, there were four Twilight movies, or Twilight books. But for the last one, which was Breaking Dawn, they split into Part 1 and Part 2. Hunger Games. Mockingjay was the last book, but they split it Mockingjay into Part 1 and Part 2. Divergent was going to be Part 1 and Part 2 of a Regent, with Part 2 being called Ascendant. But because the Regent didn't really do well at the box office, they decided to scrap the second part. And Maze Runner didn't have a Part 1 Part 2 of the Death Crew, but it is interesting to me that they did Part 1 and Part 2 first, I believe, for Harry Potter. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was the first movie from a book adaptation that they did Part 1 and Part 2. If you guys know another movie that was like that had Part 1 and Part 2 in it, please let me know. I love to hear your opinions. But yeah, go check this out, guys. But go see Part 1 first. Actually, start at the very beginning because questions will be answered in this final film, and yes, it will be worth it. So that's my movie review of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Please stay tuned for the next movie review, which will be about Made in Italy. Goodbye.